My papa was definitely always a hero of mine. And he was a very talkative guy, but he never talked about his time in World War II. And so when he sat down and began to tell me a story, I definitely listened. I was amazed that he would take the time to do it. And he began to reminisce about how on D-Day he was on one of the landing crafts crossing the English Channel, and suddenly it broke down. So him and his unit, they had to be towed back to harbor. I think this is where my mama might have chimed in and said something like blame it on the mechanical issues or something funny and flippant. But he kept on with his story. I mean, he didn't even stop. He just continued. He even lowered his voice and almost seemed somber as he began to describe on the beach how it was bloody and bodies were still there when he arrived. And he was just so lucky because they had survived it simply because they weren't there that day. But then they were put behind enemy lines pretty quickly because they were the part of the Army Corps of Engineers. And while they were in the forest and keeping patrol at night, they were all dug in their foxholes, but he was on patrol and he was running security. And so he had heard something in the woods, and he began to yell out what he was supposed to, which was, "Halt, who goes there?" He didn't hear anything back, and he heard something in the woods again, so he said it again, and he fired because no one answered. He shot into the darkness. He had no idea till the next morning that he had inadvertently killed his friend. You know, at this point, when my papa was telling the story, he just becomes like teared up, and like just a dark cloud, it's just hanging over him. But then he kind of wipes his tears away and he looks up at me, and not a smile, but certainly a brightness comes into him, and he says, "Son, all my life I've struggled with this, and I am just now feeling that I know God has forgiven me, and I've come to the realization that God's grace is extended even to me, and no matter what I did, even if it was an accident. But I believe God has taught me that I have to first forgive myself." And so I think that was the first time I'd ever seen my papa that vulnerable with me. And I realized we all need to forgive ourselves first. Then we can begin to forgive others too.